Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time of the day it is that you are watching this video. Today I am going to show you how to inspect a load before you drive away with it and how to undeck a load. So to start off, what you want to do is, as a truck driver, you should know this already, check the lights. Make sure the lights are on, make sure the flashers are working. On these loads, we have side markers in the middle of the load. Make sure these are eliminated as well. Load, the lights are very hard to see during daylight, but make sure the blinkers are working, the tail lights are on, and make sure the side markers and the middle lights are also on. These are wires for on the back for the tail lights. Make sure they're zip tied and not going to get wrapped around anything. And on the passenger side, we also have the side markers as well. So you want to make sure those are eliminated also. One thing you also want to check is you want to make sure that the lights that we have plugged up, all the wiring is not hanging too low and doesn't get snagged when you make turns. So what I like to do is when the wires are hanging, I'll get a zip tie and I'll zip tie them up so that they're not hanging. Once you have checked the lights, you want to come back and check the hoses. Make sure all the hoses are connected properly. Very important thing you want to check is we have these saddles. This saddle is hooked up to the actual fifth wheel. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that that bolt and the nut are nice and tight so it doesn't move. And you want to make sure these bolts are also tight as well. Now there will be a total of 3 different saddles on this load. So make sure those bolts are tightened on all 3 of those loads. The next thing you'll have is you want to check these wires and hoses. Make sure these hoses are connected properly. These are the brake lines. You want to make sure that the wire is not hanging down, rubbing against the drivetrain and getting wrapped around it. And this is the 3rd saddle. Again, tighten those bolts as well. Check the hose. The hubs for the axles. So you want to hand tighten these. You don't want to tighten them too tight because it will break the board and it will leak. Then you also want to make sure that this tire that's up in the air is high enough off the ground where it's not going to rub on anything. Come on this side as well to tighten the bolt on this side on all 3 of the saddles. One thing you might also want to do to save yourself some money is to make sure and inspect the trucks, make sure there's no scratches or dings on them. Now that I have inspected the load, made sure everything was nice and tight, make sure the wires were not hanging so that they don't snag on anything, and make sure the hose is all connected right. Now, it's time to update my logbook. Now I'm going to remove the hoses, the brakes, and the wire for the lights before I start undecking or before I put the axles in. Part of removing the lights is removing all these as well. The way I like to remove the lights is I'll come and cut right here so that when I pull it from the front, it goes nice and smoothly, doesn't get really caught on anything. Then I'll come over here and I'll clip zip tie right here. and then you pull it on. Do that 4 times. The lights connected is to the rear of the lead truck. They've connected it to the actual lights with this little connecting thing that we have here. So take this one off, take that one off, and then you just reconnect them. Then what I do is I just cut where the knot is. That way it comes undone nice and easily. And then I'll cut right here so it's nice and smooth. And you just get it and you pull. Trick to these. I've released all the air, so there's no air in the hoses right now. So what you do here, you push in and then you pull out. Now that I've got the hose disconnected, I'm gonna clip right here. Here. Now I'm going to disconnect this. Right there. Now I'm going to take the factory hose, put it back in there, and that's reconnected. Now that we've got everything disconnected, if you notice, I put it all into a pile or one area so that once I'm done doing the hoses and the wire, then I can clean up, put it in the bags that they provide us. Always make sure that you clean up after yourself. There you go. Everything is inside the bag. And the area looks nice now. Now we're going to remove the rear temporary lights and put them over here. There's usually a spot to put them by the hoist. One thing I need to mention also, to determine which side the axle goes on when you're removing it, the end piece right here, the hub side, whatever side that is on, that's the side of the truck that it goes on which side axle it goes on. Once I have removed the axles from the frame, I'll set them on the tire like this and then move to the next one. Now I've got the axles removed, ready to be installed. Now I'm going to get my drill and connect my 1-inch deep well socket to my impact drill. What I did was I removed all the bolts. Now they also have these little washers. Make sure you put that in a separate pile so you don't lose those. O-ring. Make sure you put the O-rings on first. Some of the O-rings, they're already on there. When they painted, they got stuck on there. gloves on. I make sure I have these so that my hands don't get greasy. I don't have to wash them so much. And it's just more comfortable when you get a tight grip.
It's just like tightening a tire. One side and the other side.
Once you are done installing the axles, make sure you get the drip pan. They usually have a place you can do it, either outside by the hoist or inside the building. This one is out here by the hoist. So make sure you dump the oil in there. And while you're undoing everything else, what I usually do is I let it drip all out, let it drain out. When I'm done, I'll come and take it out and close the lid. And don't forget to police up the trash that you left around. They usually have a dumpster for you to throw your trash away in nearby. Make sure you do that. Now, we're gonna put this in that hole. We're gonna put this in that hole back there. Now we're gonna put our strap on that with a pin that goes through it as well. When I have it hooked up, I'm gonna have it wrap around like this and go up. That's one. Now I'm gonna do the other. Okay, as you can see, I've got it hooked up. What you wanna do is when you raise it up, until you see that gap right there in between that. When you get that gap, then you're good to go. Now that I've got it attached to the chain and the hook and the hoist, I'm going to switch to my 1.5" socket deep well. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take those bolts off right there that are connected to the steel frame. Before you unhook the truck from the first truck, make sure that you've got the chocks and the wheel so that it doesn't roll forward or backwards. Now that the truck is on the ground, release the brakes so that you can come back here and remove the brake chamber. You're gonna need a crescent wrench. Once you remove the brake chamber, then you've got to put it in its storage space, which is that little hole right there. It is now properly stored in its place. Now we are going to remove the front axle support chains. The way I do that, because you can notice it's really tight, can't get undone. The way I do it is I come over here where the brake, where the airbags is, get it. We're gonna take this off. Put it over here with the rest of the wood. I'm going to take the saddle off, so I need my 1 1/4 inch deep well socket on my drill. And we are going to take off these bolts on both sides. All right guys, we're going to use a sledgehammer and my drill with a 1 1/4 deep well socket to take off this fifth wheel saddle. So this is how the stacks will come in. They'll be underneath the bunk in that little door over there. So you'll get it, you take the wrapper off, and then you'll carry it up the ladder. Stack in, you want to get these U-bolts. You'll loosen them up before you put them in there. When you see those two little holes, you gotta use deep little socket. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I hope y'all learned from it. Please subscribe and like this video. I'm going to be posting more videos of the trucking industry, drive away, and safety tips.